At most signalized intersections in a city, you will see crosswalks connecting each corner of the intersection. This allows pedestrians to walk seamlessly across the street without having to unnecessarily go out of their way. However, there are cases where crosswalks do not cover all sides of the intersection, forcing pedestrians to take a longer route to cross. In this video, we're going to investigate some of these situations in Fort Worth, Texas. Let's start out on Belknap and Weatherford streets. These are each one-way, four-lane streets that run in opposite directions of each other along the north side of downtown. Weatherford is practically an on-ramp to Highway 121, while Belknap is practically an off-ramp. The first intersection I want to look at is at Weatherford and Pecan. If you're walking down Pecan Street, going past the fire station, you realize that once you reach Weatherford, you have to go to the other side of the street to cross. I can assume it's a safety precaution, since Weatherford is practically a freeway on-ramp, but its counterpart at Belknap and Pecan has 4 crosswalks. Next, we're going to head west to Belknap and Calhoun, which only has 2 out of a possible 3 crosswalks. As someone that crosses here quite often, I don't know the reason for the missing crosswalk here. There's not even a sign saying you can't cross here. My guess is that they didn't want to inconvenience drivers turning left from Belknap onto Calhoun, but that doesn't explain why just a block earlier at Belknap and Jones, there are 3 crosswalks, including one that's in front of 2 left turn lanes from Jones onto Belknap. Let's travel further down Belknap to Throckmorton, where once again, there are only 2 crosswalks out of a potential 3. This one is a bit more understandable though, as Throckmorton is a major one-way street that leads people out of downtown. There's also this weird turnaround lane here. I don't quite understand the necessity of that. Now let's continue down Belknap a few blocks to Cherry. Just like the previous 2 examples, there are only 2 out of a potential 3 crosswalks here. I don't imagine there's a whole lot of cars turning left from Cherry onto Belknap, so I'm not sure who they would be inconveniencing by placing a crosswalk here. We only have to travel a block to our next example at Belknap and Florence. Imagine you're at the 7-Eleven and you want to cross the street to get to TCC. Instead of just crossing Belknap and being done with it, you have to use 2 crosswalks to get across the street. It's a minor inconvenience, to say the least. Let's go a couple blocks to Weatherford and Henderson. Imagine you're at Hoover and Hernandez and you want to go down the street to Taco Bell for lunch. Well, since there's no crosswalk across Henderson on that side of the street, your trip will involve crossing the street 3 times instead of just once. There are 2 left turn lanes from Weatherford onto Henderson, which is likely the reason for the lack of a crosswalk here, but it's interesting that this intersection's counterpart at Belknap and Henderson has all 4 crosswalks. Now, let's leave downtown and head over to the Cultural District. Our first stop is at 7th and Herald, the first intersection after crossing over the Trinity River. Imagine you're having breakfast at Snooze, and you want to hang out in the park across the street afterwards. Unfortunately for you, you have to cross the street not once, but twice to get over there. My guess is that they didn't want to inconvenience drivers turning left, leaving the parking lot at Left Bank, but there's only 1 left turn lane, and this entrance/exit is lesser used than the next intersection we're going to look at. Just a block down the street is 7th and Staten, where Tom Thumb, Hop Daddy, and Chewy's are all located. Despite all the different destinations at this intersection, there is only 1 crosswalk crossing 7th. Imagine you're having a meal at Hop Daddy, and you want to catch the bus to downtown afterwards. The bus stop is just across the street. Conventional wisdom would say, just use the crosswalk across 7th and you're good. Unfortunately for you, you'll have to cross the street 3 times to reach the bus stop. This inconvenience means you probably have to end your meal a little bit earlier than you would like. Just like the previous intersection, my guess is that they didn't want to inconvenience drivers turning left out of the parking lot. We don't have to travel far to reach our next instance at 7th and Woolery, just across the train tracks. When I first moved to Fort Worth 2 years ago, this signal did not exist. While it might be a nuisance to through traffic on 7th, it now provides a safer and quicker option for vehicles leaving Montgomery Plaza. Just like the previous 2 examples, my guess for the missing crosswalk is to not inconvenience drivers turning left, leaving Montgomery Plaza. We again travel just a block down the street to 7th and Carroll. At this intersection, you have Montgomery Plaza, Velvet Taco, an apartment complex, and a bus stop. Imagine you're at one of these fine dining establishments, and you would like to catch the bus to head back downtown. Instead of making just 1 crossing, you have to make 2, and technically 3, if crossing this driveway counts as a crossing. This also applies if you live at the apartment complex but want to go to Montgomery Plaza or catch the bus going the other way. Quite the inconvenience. Here there are 2 left turn lanes from Carroll onto 7th, which might explain the lack of a crosswalk here. Afterwards, I went to one of those fine dining establishments and locked my bike to whatever this thing is. Now we head to our last 2 intersections. First, at Lancaster and Henderson, not only are we missing 1 crosswalk, but we're missing 2, and it's pretty apparent why. Due to the large presence of on and off ramps, there are no sidewalks on the south side of Lancaster or on the east side of Henderson. While taking this panorama shot just a block away at Lancaster and Florence, I saw something that caught my eye. Yes, that is a sidewalk, and I rode my bike along it to get to our final intersection at Lancaster and Hemphill. I'll say it's a shame there's only 1 crosswalk across Lancaster, because the pedestrian underpass on Hemphill is one of the more cooler looking ones you'll ever see. There is an on-ramp and off-ramp just after this intersection, presumably the reason for the lack of a crosswalk here. There's actually 1 more intersection that I nearly didn't include, and that's at Houston and 12th, next to the Omni and the Convention Center. I can't think of a good excuse for the missing crosswalk here. Yeah, I get there's another crosswalk just down the street in front of the Omni, but there's no left turn that a potential crosswalk would be blocking here. It's not like there's a ton of cars turning right from 12th onto Houston either. Okay, sorry, there's 1 more, here at University and Trail, just outside the Will Rogers Center and Dickies Arena. Here, there is no crosswalk on the south side of the intersection across University. Imagine you're at the park here, and you want to cross the street to either go to the Botanical Gardens or to catch the 53 bus. Instead of crossing the street just once, you'll need to cross the street 3 times, and you'll have to wait over a minute to cross University. The 53 only runs once an hour, too. My guess is that they didn't want to inconvenience drivers turning right onto University when leaving Dickies Arena, but it's not like there's events there every night, and not a lot of people would be walking in that direction anyways. In summary, some of these intersections lack a crosswalk due to potential safety hazards, but others seem like they just don't want to inconvenience drivers turning left. There are other intersections in Fort Worth with 2 left turn lanes and a crosswalk, such as River Oaks and Jacksboro and Belknap and Houston. I'm not taking shots at the city of Fort Worth or anyone that works there. This is still a problem that exists in many places across the country, and if we want to get serious about getting people to walk more, we need to make it easy, inviting, and accessible.